What up guys, welcome back to another video. Today, super pumped, we're gonna go ahead and remove the fuel tank out of the Evo 8. So as I mentioned on the first video when we picked up the Evo 8, I thought it was impossible to clean the fuel tank and that we needed a replacement. But after talking to a couple of my friends that they had that experience of having the car sit for that long in a period of time and they end up cleaning it, we got hope. I'm gonna end up cleaning the fuel tank and try to restore it as much as possible. Hopefully everything else goes well. When I look online, they discontinued the fuel tank on the Evo 8s and 9s, and they were really impossible to find a brand new one, especially used ones. But there was a guy that on Evo classified forums that he gave me a link on eBay. It was some company up in the UK. So they had it in stock. The only problem is that the price and the shipping, which really kills here in Hawaii. I would have to spend over $1,000 on a fuel tank, and doesn't even come with a fuel pump. Comes with a fuel tank gauge unit. It's just the tank itself, and I really don't want to spend $1,000 on a brand new tank when we probably can spend at least maybe less than $100–200 on some chemicals, restore the tank, put some extra time to remove the tank and clean it up and throw everything back in, and hopefully that should be good. I'm super pumped, super excited, really want to get this thing taken care of. So I did order a new, not a new but a used fuel pump that comes with a 255 Walbro. I also picked up a fuel tank gauge unit from one of my buddy up in Oahu. Alex, if you're watching this, shout out to you. Also send that to me, so we're pretty much good to go. I'm waiting on the pump. Should be coming in by Tuesday. If it doesn't come in by then, I don't mind taking the pump out of my Evo 8 and throwing it in my wife's Evo 8, and then we can see how this thing starts. First thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna disconnect the fuel lines, disconnect the plug, and also on the other side. And then if we come underneath, we definitely have to remove the axle back and center exhaust system, also the center drive shaft. I know there were forums saying that you have to be careful of dropping the tank down, because I think the e-brake cable and the ABS line, something like that I seen on forums, that you said you have to kind of put it out of the way and then drop the lower radiator support. But I don't think we need to do all that. I think the only biggest thing is that just remove the exhaust system, center drive shaft. There's 4 bolts I believe that is holding the gas tank. And after that, we lowered it down. We should get access into the filler neck, disconnect the hose from the tank, drop it down, and we should pull it right out. If everything goes well, I'll let you guys know if I do come across with anything that needs to kind of get pushed on the side to order to get this tank down, and we can go from there. Hey guys, how should I say this? So we got some pretty bad news, and it has nothing to do with the fuel tank. While I was editing removing the fuel tank, I accidentally dropped my external hard drive, and it was kind of giving me issue for the past few days as I try to recover all the videos that I took from the past months and everything that was in there. Technically, the sad part is that I might have lost all the footage and all the videos that I've made in the past, and right now it kind of sucks. Really kind of disappointed of myself, because if I never dropped it, none of this would have kind of happened. So yeah, it sucks, guys. But you know, I did cut some couple parts on the beginning of the video of the fuel tank, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a little rundown what I had to remove to get this fuel tank out, and it was such a pain in the butt, honestly. Let me go ahead and point out to you guys what needed to be taken out in order to drop the fuel tank. So everything that was left on top of the fuel tank, as like the fuel tank gauge unit was on this side, the fuel pump is on that side. So the lines that were on the top, you really didn't need to disconnect, because everything was kind of running on the tank. Here's this plastic line that runs on top of the fuel tank, so it was disconnected to the fuel pump and it was disconnected to the fuel tank gauge unit. So that you didn't have to disconnect it, you can just leave that off. Also, here is the harness for the fuel tank, as you can see here. So what I also found out is that these could just be left connected on the fuel tank. These harnesses runs through, there's a hole. If you were to remove this carpet, there's a hole right there that you could see. Just basically disconnect it from the harness from inside here, disconnect it from here, and you can just put it right through that hole, and just this can just hang on top of the tank. So as we go underneath the car, so what we had to do is to remove the bolt from the e-brake cable and the ABS. So the ABS goes right over the cable bracket, just like that. So that has to be moved, that has to be moved, and then you do the other side as well too. And I believe there was something that's on top of the tank that you had to disconnect, can't remember. But anyways though, so you have to remove the center exhaust system all the way to the back, and then you get the center drive shafts, which that's already taken care of, that's already off. And what I had to do is that in order to drop the fuel tank all the way down, I had to lower the rear subframe. So there is this bolt and that bolt and a nut right here. So this, I believe this is a 19mm nut, and these are the 17. I also took out a bolt from here. So we got one nut and then two bolts right here on each side, and then two bolts over here, which I believe this is also a 17, part of the rear. This is a rear subframe. And then I end up taking the strut bolts out, that way it can lower more down. You can leave the rear differential, so you don't have to touch these bolts. I ended up doing it and noticing that, you know, if you were to drop the rear subframe, it will be part of it. So that's all you need to do. Just lower the subframe, and then where the fuel tank hose runs to, it's kind of tight though, but you can see it right there. In order to take those hoses off, there is clamps. You really have to lower the rear subframe to actually reach over there, loosen the clamp. Otherwise, you'll be just kind of fighting, trying to get the clamp off without lowering down the rear subframe. After I took out the fuel tank, the inside was really bad. So what I ended up doing was that I used super clean degreaser, let it sit inside, and then I end up using a pressure washer, clean it as much surface as possible. Let me go ahead and show you guys. So this is how it is now. I honestly didn't want to proceed getting the fuel tank clean and reassemble everything back in, only because I was been super busy with just 2 jobs and trying to edit the video at the same time. And now that the fact that we kind of lost the videos that I recorded of removing the fuel tank, I kind of lost a little bit of motivation. But it is what it is though. Life moves forward. I might have to just kind of reach out to Western Digital WD hard drive that I've used. I'm gonna reach out to them and see if it's really possible that they could save it if I were to send it out. Hopefully we can save all those files, because those I mean, those videos are really important to me, and I really don't want to lose it. But if it can't be saved, then oh well, life goes on. So I think that we can probably pull this out a little bit better in the condition. It's not really too bad though. So what we're gonna end up be using POR15. We got I got the fuel kit, so it comes with the cleaner degreaser, also comes with the metal prep, and also with the fuel tank sealer. So this is the first time that I've ever done this to a fuel tank, so bear with me. I'll try my best to kind of show you guys how it's done, and then hopefully everything kind of turns out okay. I already got hot water boiling right now. On the instructions, it does recommend you to use hot water. Like I said, this is gonna be the first time I'm ever gonna be doing this. Probably be the last time, because I don't think I'm ever gonna come across with a rusty tank again. But hopefully it turns out great. So I know I got some people that tell me, why don't you go with a fuel cell? Like, for one, this is gonna be from my wife. This is gonna be her daily car, and I don't want to have a fuel cell in her trunk if anything goes wrong, or if she gets in an accident. Like, it'll be kind of pretty bad. I wanted to make it at least OEM look, just put everything back in, and it should be okay. It could be safe, so that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do as much as possible to restore this fuel tank with all our time and all our heart and all our mind. I think we're gonna be okay. We're really gonna be okay. So they do come with repair instructions, so which is really good to kind of look over it before we start doing the procedure. I guess we're not able to kind of get all the rust that's inside on the top of the tank, but I think that once we put this tank back in and fill it up with gasoline, it will just break whatever rust inside and just fall in the bottom of the tank. Fuel tank on the Evo 8 does come with a drain plug, so they're at 12 millimeters on both sides, so that's pretty nice. So we can probably just properly flush. Let's go ahead and pour the cleaner degreaser into the fuel tank, and I got some hot water coming in. I kind of guess it. I just fill in a big pot of water and just turn it up, and then we're just gonna dump it inside. Kind of shake the tank all around, surface on a minimum of 30 minutes. So that's what we're basically gonna do, and then after that we'll just start with that and see how everything goes. So this is how it looks. I got the tank up on one side. That way we can just let it sit, get whatever part of the side. So I might end up just leaving the tank like this for about 20 minutes. And then we're gonna just move it around, get it all nice and slush. Do the other side. And each side is gonna have 20 minutes. So by the time we're done with that, we can rinse it off with water, and then we can move on to the next procedure. Alright, so I got all the side, at least kind of get all around the fuel tank as much as possible. So now we're gonna go ahead and dump the degreaser water that is inside the tank, and then we can go ahead and rinse off as much degreaser that's inside the tank as possible, and then we can go with the metal prep. Alright guys, so we dumped everything that we can in the fuel tank. We just flushed it with water, rinsed it all around a couple times, took out the drain plug, and I think we should be good. So now I'm gonna go use a heater gun to go ahead and just dry the fuel tank as much as possible before we can use the metal prep. This might take a little time. I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to kind of dry the whole fuel tank. And right now it's about almost 6 o'clock, and it's kind of like pushing it. But I'll just do the best I can to kind of dry up the fuel tank, and then put in the metal prep inside, flush it all around, rinse it with water, and then see where we go from there. Alright guys, the tank is completely done. I think it looks way better than how it was before. Might not be the best condition, but she is way much better than how it looks before. I think that's doable. Here's the area that I couldn't get it. Too hot. Ooh. So guys, I am not gonna use the fuel tank sealer, only because I know there is like certain spots in the fuel tank that has rust in, and there's no way that for me to kind of get into it and clean that up and kind of get that taken care of. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that. I think it looks way better than how it was before. Once we put gas, it's gonna go ahead and break all the rust and whatever area that we couldn't reach. It's gonna break it apart and kind of clear it. And eventually we're gonna have to change the fuel filter and the strainer on the fuel pump. Once we have the gasoline kind of cycle through every time we put gas in, I think it should clear up from there. Everything looks dry inside. Like I said guys, it may not be the perfect condition, but it's way better than how it was before. If you guys haven't watched the video when I picked up the Evo, at the ending of the video it shows that how bad the fuel pump or the fuel tank looks like, and you gotta really watch it how bad it is. But like I said, what I mentioned before, I did have friends that actually came across with that kind of condition of fuel tank before, and they told me what they did, and I just went to go with that route. Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you guys ever come across with this before on a fuel tank. Let me know what you guys think about the process of the fuel tank. I know it's not professional done, but you know, like I said, that's how it is. I know a lot of times that people will probably just replace the fuel tank. You know, that's how it is. I understand. Me, I'm like literally on a budget, and so I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of take care of it and just get experience and see how everything is gonna turn after we put this fuel tank back on. Tomorrow we're gonna go ahead and reassemble everything back on the tank and put it back in the car, and hopefully we can start the car for the very first time since 8 years. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know what you guys thinking about the whole process of cleaning the fuel tank. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Aloha, and I'll see you guys in the next one.